Before we start creating the thumbnail view shown in the starter file that we demoed a few videos ago, let's review the basics of the GetNthRecord calculation function first, because it'll be used to create that technique. So we need to first understand the basics of it so we can apply it in a more complex manner. So what we're going to do is go to List View. I'm going to go into the data viewer. I'm going to add in a formula into my data viewer. We're going to say GetNthRecord. Now what GetNthRecord wants is the name of a field and the name of a record. It returns the content of a field from a specified record in the found set. So in other words, you can look at other records from the current one. You usually don't want to specify the current record, but if you want to look at the next one, that's great. So we're going to say GetNthRecord. We're going to specify, let's say, the name and put in a number 1 here. And you can see here it gives us FileMaker acknowledgments, right? Because it's getting this one. So I can change this to 2. And you see it says read me now. And notice we're on record 3, but it's giving me record 2 contents. So you can look in the found set anywhere you want. You can't go outside the found set, but you can go anywhere in the found set you want. That's pretty cool. And you don't use it all the time, but it can be very useful. So let's go ahead and see how we can use it to create a simple little feature. And what that simple little feature is going to be is allowing you to see what the next record is. And it's not very useful here because you can already see in List View, but what about in Form View? You might want to see where am I going to go if I click that. So I'm going to go on here, go into the inspector, and scroll to the top and use the tooltip feature. I'm going to say GetNthRecord. I'll get the name again. But this time, instead of specifying, oops, I put it in there twice. Instead of specifying a hard-coded number, I'm going to say get record number. So it'll get me the current record number. And then I'm going to add in 1. So it'll get the next record and show me what that is. Let's see how that works. So we'll hover over here. You see it goes to the next one. If I click it, we should see FMPA license show up there. And this one, it says, going to show us test. And if I hover over it again, now it's going to say question mark because there's nothing there. So we really do need to add on to this and put a case statement around it. Equals, or I should say, is empty. Then we'll put a blank. How about we could just put blank. We could put a message in there if you want. I'm not sure I have one, and I'm going to copy and paste this stuff right here. And we'll say no next record. That's probably a good thing to display, and I'll put this in caps. Here we go. That looks pretty good. And because we're repeating this code, let's use the let function. It's always a good idea to use that. So we'll say at next equals, I'll paste in that code, put a semicolon, copy this, and everywhere I see that code, I'll put it in there. That way we have a much more efficient formula, easier to modify later. And let's see how it works. And I messed up a little bit. We got the closing for the case statement, but not for the let function. Go into browse mode, hover over this, and now it's still saying question mark. So it looks like I do have to test with the question mark, so let's try it out. Come back in here. So it's not is empty, and sometimes you have to try these things. We'll say equals question mark. And we'll see if that works a little bit better. And let's see if we can hover over it. No next record, perfect. I go back to the previous one. It should still say what the next one is. Good. And now we want to apply this to our previous. So I'll come over here and select all and copy. I'm just using the keyboard commands, and then paste into here, and then come into it to modify. I'm going to say previous just to be clear here, which means I need to change it here as well. So I'll copy that, paste it, no previous record. And last but not least, -1 here. That should do it. Pretty easy to update. You can see how it was easier to update when I had this let function. I just had to change it here, and now it's changed here as well as here. Okay, that should work, but we should always want to test it. And we can see that we're going to see the previous one, readme. And we hover over it again. Good. Now we should say no previous record, and works great. So there's a lot of ways you can use GetNthRecord. It's mostly in complex scripting scenarios, but this is one easy way to demonstrate how it works, so you can really get an idea. So when we go on to creating our thumbnail view, you really understand how it works, so you can understand how it's applied in a much more complex scenario.